Let's do a quick stock analysis of Amazon, ticker AMZN. So here we are at ValueGlance.com. We can navigate to the Stocks tab, click on Amazon. You can scroll down here. Let's just take a look at the invested capital, the IC, over time. Now the headlines about Amazon have focused on the competition in the cloud space, their uncertainty with tariffs, but what we want to do now is look at the actual data to pick out the real trends over the long term, not based on what's happening in the nonsense news, based on what the talking heads on the news are saying and predicting for tomorrow. Let's see long-term trends. So now we're looking at the invested capital. Notice we're plotting it on a log scale here, going back over 10 years, let's say 15 years. And what we see here is the invested capital has been a straight line just rocketing up. So remember, a straight line on a log plot means exponential growth. And so Amazon has been maintaining this exponential growth of invested capital for years. The company continues to reinvest its earnings for more growth. We saw in the past how to pick out a compounder stock, and here we see the fingerprint of that. So this is a great sign. Amazon continues to reinvest their profits for growth. But what about the value? What price makes sense? Well, to look at value, we can click on the value button here, and we see in green the hype factor, and we see in this purple the hype median, or the equilibrium hype. And so that shows us the long-term median value, and we see the hype factor oscillates above and below. So the hype factor here in green, it's the replacement cost of the invested capital. This is the ratio of the market value of the invested capital relative to the book value. In other words, how much do you have to pay to acquire the invested capital? So if it's $1 of invested capital and the market is valuing it at $4, that means you're paying $4 for that $1 of invested capital due to Amazon's ability to reinvest, due to the brand, due to intangible values, and that market premium. But what we're looking at here is with respect to the hype equilibrium. And so we see compared to that equilibrium, which now is around 5.5 or so, the hype factor itself is quite below that. Now, this is a historical valuation, and what we notice is looking back over 15 years, the only time the hype factor was lower was around 2022, when it dropped below, and 2014. Now, to put that in perspective, in 2014, the hype factor dropped down. In 2015, Amazon returned 110% the following year. In 2022, we see the hype factor crashing down, and in 2023, Amazon returned over 80%. So it really rips back when the hype factor crashes down far below equilibrium. Okay, so that's giving us a sense of historical valuation. What about growth? So for growth, we can come down here and click on revenue. So we see revenue is plotted here on the log scale again, vertical axis, and we're looking back over the same time period. So remember, a straight line on a log plot means exponential growth. And we can see Amazon kept this pace of exponential growth, maybe starting to roll over here. Post-COVID 2020, we see that flattening out a bit. So there's still growth there, but we can see the rate has slowed down, and that's easy to visualize when we're looking at the log scale. Now, this is not surprising when you're making $150 billion in revenue each quarter. It's very difficult to find new profit pools where you can actually move the needle for a company that's this big. The reality is exponentials can't go on forever. So that combines a quick quality analysis, value analysis, and growth analysis of Amazon. Now remember, no one can predict the future, but at least by looking at these long-term trends, we can avoid getting caught up in the latest nonsense news headlines.